To conservatives, I give you an argument, and to liberals, I give you your argument back to you. It's a comic from XKCD, which the liberals waved in our faces as our friends and even our enemies were censored, despite the fact we had objections to it because people are allowed to express their opinions. And in this rather ignorant comic, in which XKCD has no idea what he's talking about, liberals claimed this. Public service announcement. The right to free speech means the government can't arrest you for what you say. It doesn't mean that anyone else has to listen to your BS or host you while you share it. The First Amendment doesn't shield you from criticism or consequences. If you're yelled at, boycotted, have your show canceled, or get banned from an internet community, your free speech rights aren't being violated. It's just that the people that are listening think you're an a-hole, and they're showing you the door. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. This is one of the stupidest things I've ever read, and I'll tell you why. But this is what liberals stood on, as they said everybody with an offensive opinion who express it should be banned. In fact, people who said hashtag learn to code were getting banned on Twitter.
It's worth pointing out the context surrounding the people that are losing their jobs or being quote unquote canceled now is the death of an innocent man, right? A murder. And they're complaining. They're saying, oh, cancel culture is back. And if you think about the reasons that people on the right got cancels, it was because they misgendered someone. They used the wrong swear
hashtag
word.
Learn to code.
Yeah, they said they were basically taunting media personalities or journalists on the internet.
Yeah, making fun of a journalist was grounds to be permanently banned.
So now it's ridiculous.
Yes, I understand, and I think it's an important distinction to say. People are losing their jobs for mocking the death of somebody, which shows a dramatic and violent escalation of the rhetoric. And what Jimmy Kimmel and others are doing could lead to more violence. That I completely understand. The underlying factor in these cancellations now is that a man is dead. His wife and children were there and they watched it happen. And it is gruesome and horrifying. And we have a story from someone on the ground that I'm going to make sure everybody understands how serious this is. But let me make one thing clear first about this liberal argument. Free speech and the First Amendment are two distinct things. The right to free speech is a principle held by a moral and virtuous people. That means they themselves will not infringe upon your right. You can speak, they'll leave you alone. The First Amendment says the government shouldn't. XKCD wrongfully conflated these things because these people have no idea what they're talking about. And the last thing I will say to all the liberals that are crying about this, one, I still believe in free speech. I will still defend free speech, just not for you. You know why? Because you asked me not to. You came to me and said, Tim, if people say hate speech, they should be banned. And I said, I disagree with that. You said, this is the way I want to live. And then I said, okay, fine. I will uphold your wishes for you. So when Jimmy Kimmel gets fired, my response is, I don't care. I love it.
Yeah, and if you want to go have that argument right now, go yell at Pam Bondi. That's what everybody's doing over there, right? They're talking about what they're discussing with hate speech over there. And plenty of people are having that argument. Do you remember the case? I mentioned it today a couple of years ago. If you want to talk about the difference between what's going on right now and a couple of years ago, of the guy who got fired for cracking his knuckles outside of his car door, and they thought he was putting up the OK hand symbol.
Right.
That's if you're comparing the two, they're not the same thing. And for people like me who do take the Free Speech Act side of this very, very seriously, what happens is you've just bled out my desire to help you, given the fact that nobody wanted to help anybody else before.
And now what I'm going to do for all of you, because many people are making the argument about free speech or otherwise, is going back to the conversation about the severity of the circumstances we deal with. Jimmy Kimmel falsely portrayed a mass shooter as a conservative. And now the reason that's so dangerous is that they are already trying to justify and call for more murders. And you know what? I got no problem saying I take it personally, as my name is on many of these lists. So when someone says, stop defending a mass shooter publicly, and you get banned for it, I ain't going to defend you. But so that you all really understand, and I know everybody on the right and everybody who truly knew Charlie was, they already do. But for those liberals who want to make the argument, I have a video here from Frank Turek, who's going to give you his account of what happened on that fateful day. It's 5 minutes, and I ask you to please just listen, and it's going to be hard, and it was hard for me, but it was much harder for Frank, who was actually there. And after you hear what he says, maybe you will understand why we should not be tolerating the left dance on graves and call for more death. I give you Frank Turek.
Now, here's what Erica wants me to relate on Sunday. This is going to be the hard part, but maybe also the comforting part. Charlie Kirk was literally like a son to me. I have 3 sons. He was like my 4th son. My 3 sons are a little bit older than Charlie. He was like my 4th son. So when he was hit, if your son got hit, what would you do? What would you do? I got in the car. Because if there was any way I could save him, I had to do something. And I couldn't just, okay, just take him. You guys got it. So they got him into the side of the car. It was an SUV. It was the SUV we took over. And I'm on one side, and there's actually some video of this. Somebody's taking video of this. I'm on one side of the car, the right side, and they're getting Charlie in. So I run over to the other side, but the guy was dragging him in. They're now blocking that entrance. So at that point, I run around to the back. I pop the back gate open, and I jump in the back. The car lurches forward. Apparently somebody jumped in the car. So the car lurches forward. So I almost fall out of the car, or the SUV. Then I grab the thing and close it. And there's 5 of us in the car now. Justin's driving. Dan is up front with the GPS. Rick has got him. Rick's on my left. And Brian is there. And I'm coming over the back seat, and Charlie's laid out in front, just right in front of me. And Charlie's so tall, we can't close the door. We drove 4 miles, I don't know, it's 4 something miles, all the way to the hospital with the door open. To this day, I don't know how Brian stayed in the car, because we're just go, 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 go. We're trying to stop the bleeding. You saw it. And I'm yelling, come on, Charlie, come on, come on. Meanwhile, my phone is still on. My son and daughter-in-law are hearing this whole thing. And his security team, again, Justin, Dan, Brian, and Rick, they love Charlie. But they were much cooler than I mean, they're just carrying out, they're calmly, but they're swiftly doing exactly what they were trained to do. Rick starts praying out loud. I'm praying out loud. We're yelling, come on, let's go, let's go, let's go. My son's hearing all this, and we're doing the best we can to navigate traffic. This is not a highway. We're on surface streets. And suddenly there's an ambulance coming toward us. And there was conversation in the car. Should we stop? We're like, no, just keep going. Just keep going. The doctor later said that was the right thing to do. Ambulance goes by us. We're still heading to the hospital, trying to get there. At one point, somebody says, let's get there in one piece, because we're cutting through intersections. We're just beeping the horn. This is not a emergency vehicle. There's no lights. There's none of this. And I go, we got to start CPR. So I try and start that. Now, Charlie wasn't there. His eyes were fixed. He wasn't looking at me. He was looking past me right into eternity. He was with Jesus already. He was killed instantly and felt absolutely no pain. That's what I was told later. But of course, we had to try. And by the way, there was just nothing any of us could do about it. We were giving him CPR, but nothing was happening. It wasn't like if we had better first aid or we had better medical facilities or we were faster to the hospital, we could have saved him. We couldn't. So if that's any comfort at all, Charlie didn't suffer. He was gone. He was with Jesus, absent from the body, present with the Lord. That's where he was. Now, it is true, when we got to the hospital and they started working on him right away, they did get a pulse back. And so Rick and I were just, everyone's praying. We're just praying for a miracle. We had a small sliver of hope. And the doctor later said that we got a pulse because Charlie was a very healthy man, but the shot was catastrophic. So 20 or 30 minutes later, the surgeon came out and said he was dead.
I hope people hearing that story and that account of what happened, understand why we are not playing any games. This is not a question of someone saying naughty words and you felt insulted. This was an innocent man who asked for speech and debate, who was moderate politically. And it's funny when these liberals are like, this is moderate, and they show him saying things like no abortion should be allowed. And I'm like, have you met a Christian ever in your life? That's the middle of the road Christian position. There are some Christians who are like, we should like have prison and jail for people who get abortions, like even the women. And Charlie was a moderate on this issue. And he was murdered in cold blood by a lunatic. And it sounds like, with the FBI currently investigating some of these terror groups, these Antifa cells, that there may be more people involved. We don't know. It's been reported that he was a lone shooter. The messages seem to convey that, but nobody really believes those messages, and we don't know exactly. But it was reported earlier today that I believe they did bring in, I got to fact check this one, but this was relayed to me by some, I'll just call it security and law enforcement professionals, that they have brought in individuals associated with the Discord for questioning, and I'll fact check that one. So Jimmy Kimmel coming out and saying the shooter was MAGA, when you have stories like this and the severity of what we're dealing with, is one of the most insane and dangerous things you could possibly do. And I will stress, I don't want to see people lose their jobs for having bad opinions, but I will also stress, Jimmy Kimmel being able to go onto his show to several million people and lie to them about the state of politics in this country is driving the political violence. And that's just it. So when the network says you insulted a man grieving his friend, you claimed and lied. Now think about what that does to ABC when they have to issue a retraction because it was false, egregiously false. They don't want to do that either. They're going to be facing some suits, who knows what. So they said, that's it, we're done. Not to mention his show is probably losing money. But I hope people, I apologize for people who maybe didn't want to hear that story, but I think it's very, very important everybody did.
Well, to your point about violence and what's going on, what Kimmel was trying to do there is what the media did in the 70s with the Weathermen, with the family, particularly with the Black Liberation Army, where you have these leftist Marxist radicals who are murdering dozens of people, planting bombs, blowing up buildings, and the media is claiming either it's not happening or we don't know what their motives are. We don't know if they're an organized group, which is, of course, what they've said about Antifa as well. Mm-hmm. And it's this attempt to cover up this leftist insurgency, a proto-guerrilla movement that's happening inside America and is extremely dangerous and violent. And the Weathermen were never dealt with. Chesa Boudin, who was one of the top people in the Wren Collective and really helped Soros push this soft on crime policy all over America. He's the son of Kathy Boudin, who helped murder someone during an armed car robbery and never really faced justice for it over than some time in prison. Similarly, Obama's mentors, Bill Ayers and Bernadine Dorn, Weathermen, never faced jail for bombings. They think they can get away with it this time, like they got away with it for a decade in the 70s, and that can't be allowed to happen. So I think Kimmel's firing is very important on that front.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.